Such a sad situation there.
It is.
We do know that a lot of people will definitely ask the question. It's a good thing that you're here, considering, will I say, the frosty relationship between your government and the federal government. How would you manage cooperation at this particular level?
Well, Ebola has not to do with politics. It does not say, okay, yeah, the governor of Rivers State is an APC member, very good people, won't infect them. No, Ebola has no identification. It does not identify APC or PDP. There is no time here to quarrel or disagree. The time here is to focus on Ebola and make sure that we eliminate Ebola from the country. And the way to go about it is cooperation. I told you here that when it happened, I got a call from the Lagos State governor, and he immediately offered assistance. He said, listen, I have passed, I'm not passed, he's still going through it, he's managing the situation. I'm ready to help. And I said, oh, before you even knew it, your people were already here. They had to, once they got all the confession from the diplomat, they came down. The Lagos State government team came down. The federal government sent a team, the World Health Organization, and I've told you about Doctors Without Borders. The rest is Rivers State government. We have to look for the money, we have to look for the vehicles, we have to look for the equipment, we have to prepare an isolation ward. We had to take one of the health centers we built that is quite very far from the community, one of the communities, and designate it as an isolation ward. Then the doctors came in and said, you have to prepare it this way, renovate this. We looked for the money and we've done all that. So now it is, once anybody gets to 21 days, he's out of surveillance. Once you get to 21 days, you're out of surveillance. So as we go on, more persons will be getting out of surveillance and the number will be decreasing.
So what role is the federal government playing in terms of supporting you in your state?
Well, I hope they will bring the money they said they will give. They didn't tell us, they've not told us whether they'll give us money or not, but if they gave Lagos State government money, they should be able to give us. But for now, in terms of funding, the Rivers State government is doing the funding.
Okay, but I'm wondering, I mean, were you, or is the state also going to think about cremating the body? Because you understand that if they're positive,
I'm not an expert. I don't know what they will do, but they say having decontamination. They told me that the process of embalming him is even a decontamination. That's what they said. But all the same, that they will bury the corpses. The word they use is according to World Health Organization protocols. I don't know what that is. If it's by cremation or whatever, but...
Okay. But also now, do we have these checks going on at the airports and at the borders in Port Harcourt?
I thought you should be asking the federal government that. That's not my responsibility, that of the federal government. What the Rivers State government has encouraged is to reduce body contact. We say no handshaking, no hugging.
Even when they use their
no pecking.
Sanitizers.
Yeah, even if you use sanitizers, I prefer to remain safe. No hugging, no shaking, no pecking. Just stay. Once you control this situation, you can kiss and peck as much as you want or shake as much as you want to shake. But for now, the basic reason why we took that decision immediately was we didn't know how many persons, as at that time, had made contact with the principal agent.
Tell us what the business situation is like. You've already pointed out that Rivers State is also, an economic capital. You have lots of businesses there. Are people scared in terms of going around to continue their businesses? What is the level of? Is there any panic?
No, the panic has reduced with the statement I made. The impression before was, over 90% of people who contract Ebola die. And we say the Lagos experience has shown you that they don't all die. And so if you listen to my statement, I was like, listen, it's not a death sentence. If you come forward, the Rivers State government will provide all the services. You will not have to pay for anything. In fact, the woman who is ill, now, the only reason why you can say she's ill is that she's not even ill of Ebola. I'm not saying she doesn't present the symptoms, but she's ill of the heart disease that she already was being treated in the hospital. And now we transferred her to our own isolation ward. But the other two persons have shown negative, the pharmacist technician or whatever, and the doctor who treated Dr.Enemoah.
Oh, okay.
They've all been negative. So it's not a thing to panic. And, well, if you know Port Harcourt very well, life has continued as normal. Our own responsibility is to ensure that everybody lives his normal life while we do these sleepless nights to make sure that the situation is under control.
So all that misconception in that community, I think it's Odoha, where they didn't want that to happen.
Well, it happened just one day. By that time, the news was, oh, once Ebola comes, you're gone and all that. Now, I think the Rivers people have come to appreciate the fact that it's not, you don't just die. It's not there in the air. You have to, even if, what we hear is that you don't contract Ebola unless the carrier is symptomatic. That means he must have taken ill before you can contract Ebola. So even if somebody has Ebola and you shake him, it does not necessarily mean that you contract it except the person is symptomatic.
Well, are you worried about stigma? It's one area that, even the federal government has to battle. We've had to face that on a national level where youths went to Olympics, the Youth Olympic in Beijing, and had to come back because they were quarantined, tested, and not allowed to practice with other athletes. Is this something that you're also worried could happen to your state and possibly reduce people coming into the state? Have you noticed any reduction?
No, I've not noticed any reduction, but stigma is also a tool at making it difficult for you to control Ebola because people are scared, people are panicking, and the only solution to stigma is more information. But once you give the information that, look, an Ebola patient can come in here, take him in our isolation ward, and we treat him, and he lives it after 21 days, he's well. The Ebola virus is no longer in his system. Okay, well, I hear that even after 21 days, I'm told that the Ebola virus remains in the semen for 60 days. So you may have to avoid sexual contact for another 60 days. For the breastfeeding mother, then she needs to keep away her breast for another 60 days because Ebola, I hear, survives in the breast milk for another 60 days after the 21 days. Once that happens, the person is free. It's free. So when it comes to stigma, yes, but with more information you send out, once people become more aware, then they won't just send you back like they were sending Nigerians back at the airport. And the fact that you run temperature does not necessarily mean you're Ebola positive. It could be ordinary malaria.
Well, the reason why I asked because you made reference to that hotel. You jokingly said if they pay you, you'll be more than willing to. But it's definitely a problem for that business because for no fault of theirs, they've fallen victim to it, and it could be, let's say, a typical example of what could happen, say, to some other kind of businesses. The reluctance to want to go to River State or Port Harcourt more specifically because you heard that Ebola was there. Some people are still under surveillance. You don't know really what surveillance means. Maybe they're still allowed to go about.
No, they're not allowed to go about.
Measure your temperature and, let people know.
No, they're not allowed to go about. When you say you're quarantined, that means you're excluded from doing the normal things you need to do in life for 21 days. And we're doing that because we want to keep you under observation.
Is there any support for those people?
Of course. I called the attention of the Commissioner for Health when I heard that one of them was calling his friends to bring food. And I said, no. The doctor, people must ensure that they have access to almost nearly everything they do other than what can make them have contact with the next person. So it's simple. In the morning, they come and observe you. In the evening, they come and observe you. So
you're saying that in addition to, the health monitoring that you monitor, you're also giving them things that will make them comfortable while they are under that period of quarantine.
Of course. The government must assist to ensure that the person who is under quarantine is comfortable to remain in his house for 21 days. If he's not comfortable, he'll be compelled to come out. If you don't feed me, then I'll die of hunger. Or if I can't feed myself, don't say that government should feed you. If I can't feed myself, then I will die of hunger. What does that mean? I'll come out. You saw it in Liberia, where people were protesting and breaking away from the barrier because they say they are dying of hunger. So if government had provided food, and you say, okay, you have food, you have everything, but stay here for me for 21 days, so that we isolate you from those who are positive.
Are you also reaching out to those religious bodies there so that they can
I've told them to call them for tomorrow. We're supposed to have a meeting. I had a small meeting yesterday. And then tomorrow we'll be calling them together for a meeting. I've directed the Commissioner for Health to call a meeting tomorrow to discuss Ebola. Basically to reassure them that the preaching that God heals. Believe me, I'm a Christian. I believe that God heals. But if you want to pray for their people, let them pray if the person is a patient, let him come into our hospital. They can be praying for him from elsewhere. and God will heal. God, the pastor does not necessarily need to be there to heal, for God to heal the patient, and not to encourage people to shake their hands in faith. Oh, you're men of little faith, just shake your hands anyhow you like, embrace an Ebola patient. No. You can't do that. They must preach. They must do what the Catholic Church has done in Rivers State. What the Catholic Church has done is, even before Ebola broke out in Rivers State, my bishop, because I'm a Catholic, had asked us to skip that part of the church service, which enables us to shake virtually everybody around you in greeting for peace. That does not happen now. We just go straight and take our Holy Communion, and I hear they're putting measures in place that reduces contact in the case of the Holy Communion.
But how is the response now? Are they calling those emergency lines more now, residents, to ensure that they notify the state government of any case?
Yeah, there was a case that was, I praised the gentleman. He put himself forward, but very late at night. So nobody came to pick him up. But we say, we'll pick you. Don't come. We'll pick you if we need to. Now, we'll come to you rather. Now, the guy put himself forward, and they got the number, but they didn't get the Ebola number. They got the number of the permanent secretary or director of public health. And the response wasn't coming because it was late at night, 12:01 at night. And then I got a call from the manager of the person. And I said, listen, this guy said that he visited the hospital. Not that he made contact with the doctor, but he visited the hospital. And he said, look, listen, I need to be brought in. I need to be examined. And he's called the number, nobody. I screamed and called the Commissioner for Health, who said, that he gave them the number of the Director of Public Health, who is supposed to give them the number of the Ebola hotline. I said, well, no, now I want you people to go for this patient. And they did. So people are volunteering on their own, not just making telephone calls. They're coming. We're having even support from the oil companies. They're Shell, LNG, and others, giving their support so that we can fight this Ebola and get done with it.
But any other, because I mean, there's a wide net of those who are under surveillance. Is there anyone that has maybe slipped the state who maybe within those 3 weeks says, look, I'm sorry, I might have escaped, I might have left not knowing, having visited the hospital possibly, and then they call you?
Well, all the people we need to see for now, we have. All the people we need to see for now, we brought them in. The only problems we had initially was the people that left, the pharmacist left to Imo State. He left to Owerri, and we had to bring him back. Then the young girl who's a relation to the doctor left to Abia. We also had to, she didn't want to come back, but one of their brothers is also a medical doctor in Nasarawa. He insisted that she must come back, and she came back. Beyond that, we don't have anybody outside the loop that we're aware of.
Okay.